Does the glass you use really affect your whiskey experience? We're going to compare 3 glasses today and find out. So let's get to it. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Hutch, and thanks so much for joining me on this journey through the world of whiskey. So today we are trying to investigate or answer a little bit one of those particular questions that you'll run into whether you're a beginner in the whiskey world or have been in the game for most of your life, and that is, does the glass you use really matter all that much? Now, there are many different types of glassware for whiskey, but today we are just going to look at 3. First, we've got just a traditional rocks glass. Now, this is, what many people think of as just a whiskey glass. You put a big, ice cube in there, you can put, old fashions and cocktails in there. Sort of a lot of people's mental image of the quintessential whiskey glass is this one. Then we've got, in the middle here, the Glencairn Glass. Now, this is the glass that's sort of taken the whiskey world by storm in the last couple of decades. It is regarded by many as the best glass for sipping whiskey and nosing whiskey. The bowl here is designed specifically to capture the best flavors, but also whisk off some of the ethanol. It's very easy to sip out of. And it's got a little tiny stem that you can grab so that your hands aren't necessarily heating up the whiskey. So I've actually got the box from the Glencairn Glass company that has a little description on it I'd like to read a bit from. So this says, "The unique and stylish shape of the Glencairn Glass has been crafted with eminent care to enhance the enjoyment of single malts and aged blends. The tapering mouth, which captures those all-important aromas, allows an ease of drinking not associated with traditional nosing glasses. The wide bowl allows the fullest appreciation of the whiskey color, and the thistle-style base is designed to be comfortable in the hand." So, a lot of fancy words there, but kind of just means that it's a good glass for drinking whiskey and having a full experience. And last but not least, we've got the Norlan whiskey glass. This is sort of a newcomer in the field of whiskey glasses, a very scientifically engineered glass. This one actually tilts and stays like that on its side because it's etched on the outside in a particular way with 3D printing and a lot of cool technology. And then the inside is a sort of tulip-shaped glass as well. Not as dramatic a bowl, but similar to the Glencairn in shape. Again, I've got the Norlan whiskey glass little canister that the 2 glasses I got came in. Just going to read a little description here. "Inspired by nature, digitally crafted, and meticulously refined with master distiller Jim McEwen, the Norlan whiskey glass has been designed to capture whiskey's complex flavors and aromatics and deliver them to the senses like never before. The unique double-walled structure offers a seamless integration of a scientifically performing inside with an aesthetically beautiful outside for the perfect whiskey drinking experience." So obviously, again, lots of marketing language there. But it is a pretty beautiful glass. I got the black ones, and what these do is when you pour whiskey in here, it actually looks like the whole thing is sort of on fire because it's very reflective in there. Just a very cool glass overall. All right, that's enough about what these glasses represent and how they're made and all that stuff. Let's just start drinking some whiskey out of them to see what the differences are. So I'm gonna be sipping on the Heaven Hill Green Label 6-year. This is a Kentucky-only product, actually, so if you're ever coming through Kentucky, worth getting. It's like a $15 whiskey. One of the reasons I chose it is it's 90 proof, so it's not super low proof, but it's not super high proof either. And to me, this has a good nose, but relatively subtle. So I want to see how it compares in each of these glasses and how they do in letting me pick up the nose. And then taste-wise, we'll see if anything changes. I think the taste will probably be pretty similar, and the nose will kind of be a telling element. But let's get into it and see. Okay, so I've got the whiskey poured into each of these glasses, just a little bit in each. Let's compare, let's go from rocks down to Norlan and just see what we get on the nose. Okay. There's definitely an ethanol presence on the rocks glass, but good sugars, brown sugars. A little bit of sweetness. Not much nut, which is something I typically get on Heaven Hill products. Admittedly, a little bit of an ethanol burn there. So You can get some sweetness there, you can get some sugars, maybe a little bit of oak, but there is a good ethanol kick to it coming out of the rocks glass. Let's go to the Glencairn glass, see what we get there. Okay, less burn for sure. More of that sweetness coming through. It's the kind of whiskey where I can kind of dig deep into this Glencairn and pick up some flavors. But yeah, some good brown sugar. Not much nut, some good oakiness, maybe a little mustiness or funkiness on this one. But what's really muted and not at all, I can stick my nose in there real deep and basically get no ethanol, which is kind of cool. And last but not least, let's go to the Norlan Glass. Let it get some oxygen. Okay, similar to the Glencairn, there's more sweetness and less burn. Subtle nose, but basically the same thing. Brown sugars, maybe a little mustiness. And again, it's one of those ones I can dig into. There's a good vanilla coming off of that. Let's go back to the Glencairn. Just go back this way. Yep, okay. A little bit more baking spices coming off this now. Maybe a little touch of dried fruit and vanilla. Pretty nice. And then let's go back to the rocks glass. It's been sitting here for a minute or so now. Okay, it's opened up a little bit. Less ethanol. More of that vanilla sweetness coming through. Okay, so less focused, I think, less potent out of there, and the ethanol has whisked off for sure. So first run through there, the rocks glass just basically had some ethanol presence to start. The Glencairn and Norlan Glass has definitely toned that down. Okay, so this might be a little bit of a moot point, but let's just get into tasting a sip of each of these and see if there's any differences whatsoever. This time we'll go Norlan to rocks glass. Cheers, everybody. So this can function as a little review of the Heaven Helps 6 Year as well. Really nice whiskey, good heat, good baking spice note, really like nice vanilla sweetness that carries over from the nose to the palate. Not much nut, to be honest. That's sort of lacking in this Heaven Help product, which is interesting. But this like vanilla cake and baking spice note is sort of what those two blend together really well. So a good whiskey. I will say the Norlan Glass does have a pretty wide rim here, and it's got 2 layers. So it's like glass on the inside and then this like metallic thing on the outside. It's not necessarily a bad feature, doesn't affect taste much, but it is just a little bit different, or not like you're drinking out of a straight glass product. Okay, let's go to the Glencairn. See if anything changes there. Cheers. Yeah, again, it's pretty much the same. Vanilla sweetness, some good baking spices. I do feel like there's a little bit of nuttiness that's coming through now. That's probably just because they're all opening up. But that glass, it does feel good in the hand. The little stem is nice, and just you barely have to tilt it and the whiskey, kind of flows into your mouth, which is super nice for the whole experience. Okay, let's go back to the rocks glass. It's the last one we'll taste out of. Nothing wrong with that. I will say the rocks glass, out of all of them, when you bring it up to your lips to take a sip, there's less aromas coming out of it, and that might dull your experience of the taste a little bit, but it's like a 2% difference, if anything at all. So what I'd like to do now is just leave all of these to sit for 5 or 10 more minutes just to really open up, and we will come back and we will look at the nose of each again and see if anything has changed and which one is highlighting the nose best, if any of them. Okay, so 10 minutes have now passed. Let's just revisit each of these on the nose really quickly and see, as the whiskey is opened up, what has changed, if anything at all. First, the rocks glass. Okay, so there's the vanilla sweetness. More of that nuttiness is coming through and a little bit of an oak or really just like a woodiness to it. There's also still a little bit of an astringency or burn to it, which isn't totally unpleasant, but is certainly still present in this glass. Okay, Glencairn is next. Let's dive in here. Okay, more flavorful, more aromatic, I should say. It's jumping out of the glass with its vanilla icing sweetness. That woodiness is there too. Maybe a hint of nuttiness. And maybe the tiniest bit of astringency is there too. Even as I dig into it, I can get some of that. Then certainly you can hold it a little further away from the nose and just get that blast of good sweetness and oakiness and a little bit of baking spices. All right, let's do the Norlan Glass last here. Let's see if anything's changed here. Okay, so that one's interesting. It's got a little bit more of like a, I don't know, brown sugar or baking spice note. I will say it's not jumping out of the glass as much as the Glencairn was. Honestly, this might be the most muted of all of them in terms of just power of the nose coming out of it. But pleasant, creamy vanilla, baking spices. So obviously, like, you're gonna get the same notes overall, but the question is, what are the levels here? What is each allowing the whiskey to do, and which, if any, offers the best overall experience? My evaluation today with Heaven Hill 6 Year in there is that the Glencairn offers the most balanced experience. It's the best in terms of the nose is jumping out of the glass, but it's containing the best aromas. It's easy to sip out of. The stem makes it very comfortable in the hand. Very easy to swirl, and I love that you can see the color and it really shows that off. Second place I would give to the Norlan Glass. Great design, fun to play with, really nice to hold in the hand. Beautiful inside the glass, especially with this black outer coating. Offers a good sipping experience and does capture a lot of what's great about the nose and whisks off that ethanol pretty quickly, which is a great feature. And last but not least is the Rocks Glass. That's not to say that the Rocks Glass makes things bad in any way whatsoever. It just has a particular function, which is to allow other ingredients and a nice big ice cube to operate in there. And on its own, it's not the best for sipping whiskey neat. Okay, so where does that leave us in the world of whiskey glassware? Two things I would say. First, there are discernible differences between these three glasses, and I do think that the glassware you use has an effect on your overall experience. It might be minor, but it certainly has an effect. And when you're trying to compare whiskeys at a, minute level to really pick out new flavors, see which ones you like best, I would say that the glassware does matter. Second is, today the Glencairn showed itself to be the best at letting the whiskey shine, letting the nose shine, and I think it might honestly just be the best for comparing whiskeys overall. I think that about wraps up our look into whiskey glassware today. Obviously, this is not a comprehensive list. It's only 3 glasses. If there's anything else you guys sip out of you think is better, let me know. Of these 3, which one do you guys prefer? Definitely want to start a conversation in the comments below about how much the glassware matters. It also just wraps up a little impromptu review of Heaven Hill 6 Year, the green label, Kentucky only product. Very solid whiskey and an easy sipper to be sure. Last thing before we go here is just that if you liked the video, please hit that like button. And if you're liking all the content coming out of the channel, hit that subscribe button. It really helps me know what kind of specific content to keep creating for you guys. And I just want to do my best to help you guys out with your journeys through the whiskey world too. So until I see you guys again for another video, all I can say is keep drinking good whiskey and cheers.